Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a shorter video. But since I've been covering Star Wars Battlefront 2 and subsequently the potential Star Wars Battlefront 3 for so long now, I felt like I needed to make it right away, even though I just found out the news at 11 p.m. Essentially, it's been officially confirmed that Star Wars Battlefront 3 is not happening. At the very least, it's not going to be happening from EA. So in particular, this is from Battlefront Updates, and you might be asking yourself, if you've, never heard of these people, who is that? Why are they giving a opinion, and why should we think it is valid? Well, Battlefront Updates has leaked a lot of stuff in the past about Battlefront development that turned out to be true. He has inside sources that have proven to be true many times, and so I personally trust Battlefront Updates. They're goated. They have proved their mettle. So I will say I think that this is fairly valid if it's coming from them. Either way, they say that EA isn't going to make Star Wars Battlefront 3. According to IGN, an internal email revealed more layoffs and that EA is now focused only on Battlefield, The Sims, Skate, and Apex Legends. Outside of finishing the third Jedi game, EA's time with Star Wars looks to be done. And I have been a little bit curious about this for a while. I felt really like if EA was interested in making another Battlefront game, or coming back to Battlefront 2 and finishing what they started, that they would have made some sort of announcement or teaser. The only thing we got from EA was a random Instagram post from F1 EA Division, which was just kind of mocking Battlefront's resurgence, trying to get people to go to their own game. And that obviously is not exactly what we're looking for here. So when EA was silent for so long, I kind of felt like something must have been off, because any marketing team would know to capitalize on this. I used to work for marketing with a subsidiary of Unity, and whenever we had big news or announcements, we rode those hard. We tried our best to capitalize on hype and get posts out there, and this clearly was the peak of Battlefront hype in the past few years. For goodness sake, we are on Xbox trending, and 3 hours ago, we just hit number 2 in trending on PlayStation Network, surpassing Fortnite, COD, and GTA 5, which is absolutely insane. To be past all of those behemoth games on trending, that's nuts. And what's even crazier is that the player count on Steam has remained incredibly steady. It is already at 16,760 today, and it hit a peak of 17,700 earlier today. So this thing has some legs, and it seems like the player base isn't going to be leaving the game anytime soon, despite Resurgence Day being a few days ago. Now, I know it is pretty doom and gloom, this post, that EA is not going to be working on Battlefront 3. However, it's not all bad news. We just know that Battlefront 3 is for sure not going to be happening with EA. That doesn't mean that Battlefront 3 won't be made. For those of you who are in the dark, when the sequel trilogies were announced by Disney, essentially Disney sold EA the exclusive rights to make Star Wars video games for, I think it was 10 years, I want to say. And with that, they did very, very little. They made Star Wars Battlefront EA, they made Star Wars Battlefront 2, they did Jedi Fallen Order 1, and I believe the second one was released after the time expired on the exclusivity deal, and they did Star Wars Squadrons. Beyond that, they did nothing. It was pretty squandered, if you were to ask me, especially with Star Wars Battlefront 1 being pretty lackluster, not even having Clone Wars in it, and just kind of being a bit of a bland game, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. And then Star Wars Battlefront 2 was a total disaster at launch with their predatory microtransactions. But what's important to note is that this deal with Disney expired a while back. So while EA is still going to be making Fallen Order 3, they according to this tweet, are not going to be doing anything else Star Wars related. We already had that flop of a Ubisoft Star Wars game, and so I don't think we'll be seeing Ubisoft really coming back to the table in any time. I know they're doing a DLC for that game, but beyond that, I don't think that they're going to be making too many more Star Wars games based on the lackluster response to theirs. There's also some mobile Star Wars games coming out, and a few other projects that have been announced, though we haven't really seen any footage of them or anything like that. The main thing I'm very excited about is the XCOM 2 style Star Wars game that's going to be coming out. I will do another video on that separately once we're done with this hype of Battlefront right now. So there's quite a number of options for studios out there involved with Disney already, as well as a ton of studios that aren't involved with Disney at all that could potentially make a Battlefront 3. Remember, EA does not own Battlefront, the property, either. Battlefront was created by Lucas Games, and so when Disney sold the rights to Star Wars to EA for 10 years, they also sold them Battlefront's property. However, Battlefront, after the 10 years, also gets returned back to Disney, and those rights can be sold again to another game studio. I don't know how it works in terms of being able to make a Star Wars Battlefront 3 a series. I don't know if they have to start again with Battlefront 1 legally or anything like that. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but all I know is that a Star Wars Battlefront game can still be made. And I would be betting that a lot of game studios are currently bidding on being able to make that happen. With all of this buzz happening right now, I could see a lot of executives jumping at this to try and make it happen. Real quick, huge thank you to Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video. They have literally the best deals in gaming. I use it all the time. If you like Star Wars games, Lego Star Wars for $2. Star Wars Battlefront 2 for $9. One of my favorite Star Wars games, Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, $1.70. If you want to play the Star Wars Galaxy at War mod, Men of War Assault Squad 2, $3. Extremely popular games can be up to 99% off. Link in the description below. Thank you to Instant Gaming for sponsoring the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Let's get into the video. And I've seen some speculation on it. A lot of people are saying that Helldivers team should go ahead and take a crack at it. And while I think Helldivers is a fantastic game, I don't know if that team has really proven themselves to make a multiplayer shooter game that's not cooperative. I'd love to see a Helldivers style Star Wars game, but it doesn't really make sense for them to jump into Battlefront. Honestly, for me personally, I always felt like DICE was the right team to make Battlefront, and they proved themselves with Battlefront 2. It is a fantastic game once they were allowed to be free and not do all the predatory stuff that the studio wanted them to do. Although that did take quite a while, I still think they are the team for the job. Obviously, that is not going to be happening. They're only going to be doing Battlefield from now on, it seems, but I would honestly love to just see like Battlefield 4 reskinned for Battlefront. That would be my peak Battlefront experience. Star Wars themed Battlefield. That would be the dream for me. Beyond that, I know there's some studios I don't want to see this going to. I don't want to see it going to Epic Games. I think that would suck. I think they're good at doing Fortnite, but all their other projects just have been very lackluster and very monetized and very plain and a little bit boring. I also don't want to go to Activision or Blizzard. Well, they're the same company. I think they would make a terrible game. I think it would be cool to see it going to like the creators of Squad. That would be pretty sweet to see, although they are, I think, technically considered a indie studio, so I don't know the viability of that ever happening. Same with like a game like Isanzo. Fantastic game, fantastic mechanics, great work ethic from that studio, but again, might be a little bit too small to actually get this done. But those would be the ideal studios for me. A couple other studios I'd love to see take the reins would be like the Hell Let Loose studio. That would be dope. Or even Delta Force, another great modern shooter, very similar to Battlefield, taking obviously a lot of inspiration from Battlefield. I think that would be a slam dunk. It'd be really fun. Now, again, I don't see us getting Battlefront 3 for a very long time now. The reason that EA would have been the best option for us is that they have their entire database of skins, of models, of game mechanics, everything. It was all already made. Any new studio was not going to have access to that. So they would have to start from scratch. So like, for example, crates that you might see on the Scarif map. You would have to remake those crates. You cannot just simply go back to Battlefield or Battlefront 2 or 1 and steal the asset and put it in Battlefront 3. You can't do that. That's something only EA could do. So development of a new Battlefront game could be years down the road. So while there are some silver linings to this news, it does look to be pretty abysmal towards seeing another Battlefront game go anywhere anytime soon. And on top of all of that, more than likely we're probably starting back at Battlefront 1. This IP is completely cursed. We get a pretty good first game in the series every time, then we get a slam doink of a sequel. Battlefront 2s are always goated, and then Battlefront 3, despite hopes, despite promises, despite amazing plans, always gets trashed. It sucks, and it looks like potentially this whole thing is going to start all over again. So I'm really hoping that if we don't get Battlefront, we at the very least get some cool Star Wars games, maybe even Star Wars shooters. That would be great too. Doesn't have to be Battlefront if they can come up with another great idea, a cooperative game like Helldivers, etc. That'd be amazing too. We've seen that Star Wars works in so many playstyles, like Fortnite Star Wars is so good. It feels like a Star Wars game. It doesn't necessarily feel like Fortnite. So that's just my opinion. I wanted to bring you guys some rather tough news, but there's still hope out there, although it is somewhat dashed right now. We're just going to be waiting a while longer than I think all of us thought. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Be sure to click that subscribe button for more content and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be alerted to whenever I live stream or upload. Thanks so much.